So, I was recently speaking to a buddy about the New York Comic Con and the possibility of getting some modern books signed. Our discussion changed a bit to how I pick modern comics I may have bought at a comic book shop at cover price for submission to be graded. So the discussion was pretty good, and I thought as a result I'd just share my process with you. Stay tuned for the video. Anachronic. Hi comic book fans, I'm Joe and welcome to Anachronic Comics. So let me begin with a disclaimer. I am far from a professional grader and, as you will see, don't always get it right. I'm simply telling you what I do to determine if I will submit a modern book I bought at its cover price for grading. If it helps you, great. If you have a different method, help us all out by telling us in the comments below. Okay, let's go. So comic book collecting is a passion that combines art, history, and storytelling. For many collectors, one of the most crucial aspects of the hobby is understanding the condition and the value of your comics, which is where grading comes into play. Grading is the process of evaluating the condition of a comic book, which can significantly affect its market value. For modern comic book collectors, two major grading services dominate the market: CGC, or Certified Guarantee Company, and CBCS, Comic Book Certification Service. CGC was the first player in the comic book grading industry, starting in 2000, and quickly became the standard against which all other grading services are measured. CBCS entered the scene later and was founded by Steve Barak, the same person who helped start CGC. Both companies use a 10-point grading scale, with grades ranging from 0.3 or 0.5 poor to 10.0 gem mint. And they both assess similar defects when evaluating comics. There are quite a few videos on YouTube explaining how to pick a comic book for grading. I think you can summarize those videos with these major elements to consider before submitting a comic book to your favorite grading company. First, the reputation of the grading service. CGC is generally more recognized in the collector community, and comics graded by CGC can often command a higher price than those graded by CBCS. I think this is largely due to CGC's longer presence in the market and its established reputation. Second, the book's condition. You got to check for tears, stains, and creases. Number 3, the cost of grading. Grading fees can vary depending on the service, the value of the comic, and the turnaround time you're expecting. You can get the costs on the grading company website. 4, potential increase in value. Not all comics will increase in value after being graded. It's crucial to evaluate the market demand for your specific comic book and whether the potential increase in value justifies the grading cost. Paid services like Go Collect and Cover Price can be helpful. There are free sites as well, and of course you can check eBay or Shortboxed. 5, restoration check. Both CGC and CBCS offer restoration checks as part of their grading process. Restoration can significantly affect the value of a comic book, so it's important to know if any work has been done on your comic before submission. Together, these 5 elements, I believe, provide a good roadmap to deciding whether to send in a silver or bronze age comic book for grading. However, there is one that is the most important and that I look to first for my modern comics, and that's the potential increase in value. Let me tell you why. Why? Basically because from the standpoint of value, for most modern comic books, if you do not get at least a 9.6 and most times a 9.8, it likely may not be worth submitting the book. Now, there may be a favorite book of yours that you will want to submit for a grade without concern for the value. If a comic holds sentimental value, for example, grading can ensure its longevity and preservation. And that's certainly a personal decision. For me, especially with respect to modern comics, I'm looking for a reasonably good increase in value to submit a book for grading because I'm looking to leave my collection to my son. Since I send my books to CGC, and I've bought these books off the rack at an LCS, numbers 1 and 5 are always satisfied. Also, with respect to number 3, I've already determined the cost to grade these modern books at CGC, which would only change if CGC or the Postal Service increases its prices. Most of the modern comics in my collection have either been read once or never read at all, so at least at first blush, they're all high-grade candidates. So, looking at the 5 points I just listed, number 4, potential increase in value, is the most significant for me. So how do I approach selecting a modern book I bought off the rack for submission? I consider some factors, including my past experiences. For example, some modern Spider-Man books are good candidates. I look for first appearances and or cover artists. If it's a key, all the better. I've had some success using these criteria in the past. Now for this video, I selected 2 ASM books, number 606 and number 607, both with covers by J. Scott Campbell. For value, I consider the following cost variables. First, how much did I pay for the book? Almost every modern book I submit is one that I bought at a comic book shop at cover cost. So we're talking a few dollars. Second, what will the grading company charge? Using CGC, the company currently charges $25 to grade a modern book, plus a $5 handling fee for online submissions, but they charge an $8 fee for a paper submission, if that's your preference. If you have a third party do your clean and press, add that cost to the total. I've learned to do my own pressing, so that's not an additional cost to me. Third, to the extent applicable, mailing costs. For this variable, because CGC uses FedEx, I'll use the same. Recent returns I got from CGC have cost me $20. To mail a comic book to the grading company, I use a discount mailing app, so my cost is approximately $15. Now, one way to avoid having to pay to mail your books to the grading company is to bring them to a Comic-Con, where the company has a booth. I've done this and I've saved $15 for the books that I submit to CGC. Obviously, if you're doing signatures, that will be an added cost and generally provide a bump in value, but here I'm dealing strictly with a straight submission. Many J. Scott Campbell covers appear to demand a premium when graded at a 9.8. So as I mentioned, I've selected 2 potential submissions from my collection, Amazing Spider-Man 606 and 607, both J. Scott Campbell Black Cat covers, for which I paid cover price of $2.99. A bonus here, as both are considered keys because of Campbell's covers, and a high-grade raw copy of 606 is listed at $60, and a high grade of 607 is listed at $80 on Key Collector, the raw price is significant here because it may be that at a $2.99 cost, I may have a pretty good return if I just were to sell the raw copies. However, it may be more difficult to sell the raw copy at that price than a graded comic at a 9.8. Let's check out Go Collect for these 2 comic books. At a 9.8, number 606 is listed with a fair market value of $200, and with a more recent sale as high as $226. A 9.6 has a fair market value of $130, with the trend a bit lower. 607 at a 9.8 has an FMV of $240, with the trend being pretty steady at that amount. The FMV for a 9.6 is $120, with the trend being a little bit more favorable at the 90-day average of $144. So are these books worth for me inspecting, cleaning, pressing, and sending them to CGC to be graded? Let's figure out my cost, potential value for both books. So, are these books worth me inspecting, cleaning, pressing, and sending them to CGC to be graded? Let's figure out my cost and the potential value for both comic books. So the CGC fees would be $30, mailing cost $35, and comic book costs $2.99. Total cost to me, $67.99. Let's round that up to $68. Now let's look at the potential value. The potential value of a 606 for a 9.8 is $226, and for a 9.6, $122 using the 90-day average. The potential value of a 607 for 9.8 is $240, and for a 9.6, $144, again using the 90-day average. Both look like good numbers, but now we get to the most important numbers. What might I expect as a total return on my $68 investment? So for ASM 606, my total potential return on investment for 9.8 is $226 minus $68, or $158, which is a 226% return. For 9.6, my potential total return is $54, or 79%. Both good numbers. For ASM 607, my total potential return is $240 minus $68, or $172, for a 253% return. For 9.6, my potential total return is $144 minus $68, or $76, and 112% return. This is my critical first step. Since I considered these two comic books to be 9.8 candidates, both appear worthwhile. So now I'll check them for common defects that affect comic book grades, such as blunt corners, spine stress, tears, stains, creases. And if they look like a potential 9.8 or at least a 9.6, I'm going to press them and send them in. Let's take a quick look at both books. Okay, here we are. I've already taken the books out of the plastic bags just to save some time. So what we're going to be looking for here, and I think Reggie used to call this dirty grading, right? I guess it's not professional grading, but it's just us doing some work. So we're going to be looking for, the corners. We're going to see if there's any blunt corners. We're going to check out the spine very directly. We're going to make sure there's no tears or stains that need to be taken care of. We're going to look for creases, and we're going to open the inside and look at the middle and the staples also to make sure they're okay. Now again, I read these books. I think I read them once. This is basically the second time that I've taken them out of their bags and boards. So I assume that most of these things are going to be good, but we'll take a look. I think we'll probably maybe have some creases as well. So first, let's take a look at the general condition here. And if we take a look at it, it is a white book, but it looks clean. I don't see any dirt on it, so that's good. All right, so let's take a look at the corners first. That's a pretty nice square corner there. So here we see there are some creases around the spine, but I think they can be, doesn't look like they're breaking color, though this one looks pretty tough, but I think we can probably press them out. All right, let's go up the rest of the spine. That's okay. A little something here, but let's see. That might be just a printer's item, but there's something there. This corner here looks okay. Okay, let's look at the other corner now. Nice and square. Going down here. Again, nice and square. Looks like a smudge here, but I think, again, that's just printing in the color. It's there. Looking at the rest of it, let's try to use the light to see if we see any other creases besides the one along the spine that I saw. Yeah, there's a couple along the spine. They're very tiny ones, though. Definitely think they can be pressed out. Okay, just going back up. Again, we're using the light to see if there's any more here. Okay, looks pretty good. Now, I have this other tool, which I'll use once I turn off the camera. It's a little bit hard to do with the camera. It's a little something I found on Amazon. It's pretty cool. Runs on batteries. You see this is where the battery compartment is. It is, when you push it down, it is a magnifying glass. So we could take a better look. I'll take a better look at it. But the key here is that if you want, it's got a light. See that? So when you shine onto a particular corner or a particular area, and let's take a look at that spine again. I don't know if you'll be able to see it through this. You can kind of focus in on the issue a little bit more, right? And follow it along and see whether or not you can, spot or see something else with respect to that. So again, it's hard to do it through the camera, but I will be doing this when we're done with the video. Let's take a look at the back real quick. Again, let me close this one up. Okay, now the back looks like it's got a few more issues here. We take a look at the spine in the back, all right, we can see here there are some kind of ticks along here, all right. So we've got a few of them here. Like I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's a bunch of them here. So I'm not sure whether or not they're going to come out. It looks like they might. This might be something both with the front and the back where I'm not going to give it a warm press, but I might use my tack iron on it, and just put use a tack iron along here and see whether or not we can just push them out. I mean, the corners in the back, a little something here. Okay. Again, it looks like, only because it's blue and you can see kind of some of the white there. Again, we'll see if we press that out a little bit and see how that looks. On this side, something similar. Right there. Again, it just could be printing. Matter of fact, likely it is. This corner here, again, looks okay. This corner here, okay. And again, looking at this spine, you see there? I'm using the light now, right along here. Okay. So we'll use a tack iron in that. Okay. And let's just take a quick look inside. Nice. No wonder Gary B likes the black cat. Cute. All right. Let's see if we can get to the middle here of the book. All right. Let's see. Okay, here's the middle. Very busy. A lot of artwork here. Might be difficult to see, but there's a staple. Obviously, this is brand new, so the staples should be pretty good. Let's take a look on this side here. Okay. All right, so looking at, again, number 606, certainly looks like a candidate to continue with some kind of pressing, whether it's by the press machine, or I think tack iron makes more sense to me. If we can get all of these things out, I think we can send them in. Okay. All right, so that's good. Let's take a look at 607, which would be worth a little bit more money. All right, let's take a look at the cover again. Let's take a look at the corner. Nice square corner. Nice square corner. Nice square corner. And nice square corner. All right, let's take a look at in the light again. Up, see, there's again, we've got a few, I don't know what you want to call them, indentations. I don't know if I would call them ticks because they're not breaking color. So I think, again, with a tack iron, I probably can get those out. There's a few of them there. Let's see. There you go. And there's a little bit of a bend here too, which I think will come out. If I use the tack, I'm going to try using the tack iron first. There's another one right here, right there. Okay, and another one down here. Again, I think they all can come out pretty easily. Let's take a look at the rest of the cover under the light. And again, I'm going to use my little magnifying glass once I get off the camera. But this looks pretty good. Even the black looks nice. I don't see any issues here with that. And just using that, looking through. Very nice. Let's take a look at the back. Again, the corners. See here, when you got a blue, this is the same thing. That's why I think it's just the printing, just the ink on the printing. Okay, same thing over here in the corner. I just don't think that the printing of the color works that good. You always end up with something at the edge, a little bit at the edge where you see some of the white. Looks like it's every corner. All right, otherwise let's look at the back. Again, we do have a few of those little dents all along here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, anything up here? There's one over here. You know, and I do think just with a tack iron, they'll probably come out. Other than that, let's see. I don't see any other dents or anything along those lines. All right. Though after I do the tack iron, I'm probably going to do a cold press. I have some remnants of when we redid our countertops, some really heavy marble pieces and some weights that I would use on this just to make it a little bit more, you know, put some weight on it and just give it some time. And I would leave it in there for a few days. Same centerfold as the other one. Let's take a look. Yep, there's the one staple looking good. Let's look at the other staple. Okay, looks good. Okay, so this one, so it looks like both books, you can have a lot of glare on this one here, but both books, 607 and 606, have some little bit of spine stuff going on here. It doesn't look like it's color breaking in either case. So we're hoping that just with a tack iron we'll be able to straighten those things out. And if I can do that and it looks good, we'll be sending them in to CGC and seeing what we can get. Because we want to get a 9.8, at least a 9.6, because we'll be making money on it. Not that I'm going to sell them. Not looking to sell them, but I'm looking to increase the value. So we want at least a 9.6, but we really want that sweet spot, the 9.8. In conclusion, grading modern comic books is a personal and strategic decision that can enhance the value and the preservation of your collection. Whether you choose CGC or CBCS, ensure you do your research, understand the costs involved, and consider the potential benefits before submitting your comics for grading, whether it's for increased value or for preservation. Remember, the ultimate goal is to enjoy the hobby and make decisions that align with your collecting goals and budget. If you want to get more valuable collection advice, click here. Happy collecting.